Hello and welcome to Midday Prime. Our top focus today is the joint launch of Phase 2 of RuPay card by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bhutanese counterpart, the COVID-19 situation in India and particularly in worst affected Delhi, and how Hafiz Saeed's sentencing by a court in Pakistan is once again proving to be nothing more than an eyewash. All that and more, but first up, the big news at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bhutanese counterpart Lote Tshering jointly launched RuPay card Phase 2 in a joint virtual ceremony in Bhutan. PM Modi welcomes Bhutan as a full partner in RuPay card network, says India stands with Bhutan in the difficult hour of COVID-19 pandemic and its requirements will always be top priority for India. Central government's policies removes middlemen. Over 13 lakh crore rupees sent directly to common man through the direct benefit transfer. Since last April, an amount of about 1.25 lakh crore rupees has been sent through direct benefit transfer. Centre runs 337 schemes through DBT. Central teams to visit Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat and Manipur to assess the COVID-19 situation. Central teams to provide assistance to states in prevention of COVID-19. Ministry of Home Affairs advises Haryana and UP governments to hold survey of private hospitals in their NCR districts on the lines of Delhi. In Uttar Pradesh, 14 persons, including 6 children, died in a road accident in Manikpur area of Pratapgarh. Four-wheeler returning from a wedding ceremony collided with the truck on the highway. Rafael Nadal beats Stefanos Tsitsipas to make last four at the ATP Finals, beat 2019 champion Stefanos Tsitsipas in 3 sets to set up a meeting with Russian Daniil Medvedev. In the semi-finals, Novak Djokovic and Alexander Zverev face off for the other 2 last 4 slots in London. The Festival of Chhath Puja is being celebrated with fervour and gaiety. President greets people on the occasion, says, "May Chhath Maiya bless all the citizens with good health and prosperity." First up, the big news at this hour. A virtual ceremony for the joint launch of RuPay card Phase 2 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister of Bhutan, Leonchen Dr. Lote Tshering, was held today. The Prime Ministers of India and Bhutan had jointly launched Phase 1 of the project during the state visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Bhutan in August 2019. The implementation of Phase 1 of RuPay cards in Bhutan has enabled visitors from India to access ATMs and point-of-sale or POS terminals across Bhutan. Now, Phase 2 will allow Bhutanese cardholders to access RuPay network in India. Addressing the virtual ceremony, PM Modi said that from today, RuPay cards issued by the Bhutan National Bank can be used at 1 lakh ATMs and 20 lakh point-of-sale terminals. He added that this would make tourism, shopping and other transactions easier for Bhutanese tourists in India.
आज के बाद भूटान नेशनल बैंक द्वारा जारी किए गए रुपे कार्ड्स के कार्ड धारक भारत में 1 लाख से अधिक एटीएम और 20 लाख से अधिक पॉइंट्स ऑफ सेल टर्मिनल की सुविधा उपयोग कर पाएंगे। मुझे विश्वास है कि इससे भूटान के यात्रियों को भारत में शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य, तीर्थयात्रा या फिर पर्यटन में बहुत सहूलियत रहेगी। इससे भूटान में डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन बढ़ाने में भी मदद मिलेगी।
Recently, India and Bhutan signed a framework for peaceful usage of outer space. PM Modi said that this will help institutions in both countries and improve cooperation. India has recently opened its space sector for private enterprises.
कल हमने पीसफुल यूजेज ऑफ आउटर स्पेस में सहयोग बढ़ाने के उद्देश्य से एक फ्रेमवर्क दस्तावेज पर हस्ताक्षर किए। इससे दोनों देशों की विभिन्न संस्थाओं के बीच सहयोग का मार्ग प्रशस्त होगा। भारत ने हाल ही में अपने अंतरिक्ष क्षेत्र को प्राइवेट एंटरप्राइज के लिए खोला है, बहुत बड़ा रिफॉर्म किया है। इससे कैपेसिटी, इनोवेशन और स्किल्स को बढ़ावा मिलेगा।
The Prime Minister assured that India supports an ICT-enabled knowledge-based society in Bhutan. He said that Bhutan's agreement with BSNL on the third international internet gateway is also welcomed.
भूटान में एक ICT-enabled knowledge-based society, इसका निर्माण करने के उद्देश्य का भी हम पूरी तरह से समर्थन करते हैं। मैं भूटान के लिए थर्ड इंटरनेशनल इंटरनेट गेटवे उपलब्ध कराने हेतु BSNL के साथ एग्रीमेंट का हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं।
India and Bhutan share a special partnership anchored in mutual understanding and respect, reinforced by a shared cultural heritage and strong people-to-people links. On the joint virtual ceremony of RuPay Card Phase 2, Bhutan Prime Minister Lote Tshering said that together we are leveraging digital technology to enhance financial services in our regions. He also said that the lead of India in developing a COVID-19 vaccine is a hope for all.
Together, we are leveraging digital technologies to enhance financial services in our region. I would like to take this opportunity to convey our appreciations for your unwavering support that we have extended to Bhutan for the COVID-19 responses. The lead that India is taking in developing vaccines is a source of hope for all of us.
And now correspondent Arun Sharma is joining us with more details. Arun, how is the launch of Phase 2 of RuPay Card going to ease transactions of Bhutanese tourists in India?
Well, it will play an important role as far as providing the fintech services, primarily the transactions very much smoother and easier for both for the Bhutanese citizens and of course when Indian citizens are visiting Bhutan. Well, the RuPay card is also one of the biggest example that how India is becoming Atmanirbhar as far as fintech sector is concerned. We have seen it over past 6 to 7 years. We have seen how the RuPay card has become global. We have seen RuPay card being launched in Singapore, UAE, Bahrain. Phase 1 of in Bhutan as well we have seen, and of course in Saudi Arabia as well. So in various countries, the RuPay card has been launched in last 6 to 7 years. But now the focus is as to how can better services can be provided to various users of the RuPay card. And in that context, this fintech product or primarily the Atmanirbhar product in the fintech sector is going to play an important role. Now, as far as students are concerned, as far as business persons are concerned, as far as any person who is visiting Bhutan from Indian side or any Bhutanese citizen who's visiting to India, they can easily access this RuPay card. Look at this way, Munmun, that RuPay card is now gradually becoming global. Till 2014, we have seen that India's dependency was much more on cards like MasterCard and Visa card. But now we have seen that how RuPay card is gaining momentum and close to 600 million users, or you can say account holders are there as far as RuPay card is concerned, RuPay network is concerned. They're close to 900 million, various credit card and debit card holders in our country, and out of which close to 600 million are the RuPay card holders. Now, government is also ensuring on one side that how can it can be made more cost efficient in nature, and that's the reason why the MDR charges on RuPay card has been abolished. So this ensures that the RuPay card becomes very much cost efficient in nature wherever it is used. Number two, it is very much safe and secure, and it is tested on international standards. Last but not the least, it is very much user friendly in nature, because we know this fact that under the Jan Dhan Yojana, various accounts were open in far-flung areas, and RuPay card was also issued, and that's the reason why RuPay card is becoming very much user-friendly as well, and that's the reason why it is being globally accepted now, and it is giving tough competitions to international cards like MasterCard and Visa card as well.
Arun, the Prime Minister also referred to the cooperation between India and Bhutan in the domains of space and information and communication technology, or ICT. Is there a lot of potential of development of ties in these two domains between the two countries going forward?
Well, a lot of potential on both the sides, from the Indian side as well, from the Bhutanese side as well. We know this fact that recently only India has opened up the space sector for the private players. So India has, joined that big league of those developed countries that are offering private players to use their, primarily the space has been open for the private players as well. We know that the US is allowing the private players to launch their vehicles and of course launch the satellites. And as far as investment in private sector is concerned, Japan is one of those countries. So we have seen that gradually India is also joining that bandwagon whereby private players can enter in this space sector. Now, important aspect is that what India is offering as of now. We have seen that ISRO has conducted various missions like Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan, and these are very cost efficient missions that we have seen. So on the other side, we've also seen that India's ISRO has become a launch pad for various other countries as well. Now, as far as the SARC satellite is concerned, that was a big initiative by the government of India side and of course the ISRO side as to providing or as far as launch of the SARC satellite is concerned, which improves the broadcasting, which also improves the navigation, which improves the overall satellite mechanisms in this entire South Asian region. So yes, ISRO is now gradually also becoming a launch pad as well for various other developing countries as well, for various other countries as well, as far as cost efficient launching is concerned. So yes, it's a win-win situation for both Bhutan and of course for India, because we know this fact that when next year when Bhutan will be going ahead with its own launches, their engineers, their satellite, their space engineers who will be visiting India as well. Now earlier we have seen that Bhutan is also very much interested in the space cooperation. We have seen that Bhutan is also coming forward as far as the space cooperation is concerned. And earlier we have seen that Bhutanese engineers, the space engineers have also visited various other countries like USA, Japan for the training purposes.
Arun.
Now they'll be coming to ISRO for the training purposes as well.
So a lot of potential there, and will it be a win-win situation with regard to COVID-19 vaccines? Is India now likely to provide COVID-19 vaccines as and when they're finally approved within the country once the clinical trials are over to Bhutan?
So when we talk about India, there are various vaccines that are into various stages as far as the trials are concerned. We know this fact that Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are claiming that their vaccine effectiveness is close to 90-95%. But important aspect is that no matter which country develops the vaccine, no matter how far or how fast India will be in a position to develop a vaccine, which are in various stages of trial. But yes, if in case a mass production has to be done, it has to be done primarily in India because India is known as pharma hub. And during the COVID pandemic time, we have seen how India has offered help by providing hydroxychloroquine vaccine as well, the medicine as well, or various other healthcare equipments as well. So yes, the global collaborations are taking place and India is going to play a lead role as far as vaccine is concerned.
Thanks, Arun, for those updates. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be attending the 15th G20 summit chaired by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia under the theme Realizing the Opportunities of 21st Century for All on 21st and 22nd November. The meeting will be held in a virtual format. The upcoming summit is the second G20 leaders meeting in 2020. The focus of the upcoming G20 summit will be on an inclusive, resilient and sustainable recovery from COVID-19.
The focus of the upcoming G20 summit, being held amid the COVID-19 pandemic, will be on an inclusive, resilient and sustainable recovery from the COVID-19. During the G20 summit, the leaders will discuss pandemic preparedness and the ways and means to restore jobs. The leaders will also share their vision for building an inclusive, sustainable and resilient future. India will enter the G20 Troika along with Saudi Arabia when Italy will take over the G20 presidency on the 1st of December.
Let's now shift focus to our developing story. Let's now take a look at the update on COVID-19 from across the country. 48,807 recoveries were recorded yesterday, taking the cumulative total of recovered patients to 84,28,409. With this, the recovery rate currently stands at 93.6%. India's three-pronged strategy of test, trace and treat is proving to be a success. The fatality rate has dropped to 1.47% with 1,32,162 deaths recorded so far. The number of active COVID-19 cases in India stand at 4,43,794, which is 4.93% of the total cases reported so far. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, a total of 12 crore 95 lakh 91,786 samples have been tested for COVID-19 so far. Of these, 10 lakh 83,397 samples were tested yesterday. The centre has sent high-level central teams to Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat and Manipur to assist the states in strengthening containment, surveillance and testing. With the surge in the daily new cases and the spike in the daily fatalities in Delhi, the spillover effect is being observed in the NCR regions within the states of Haryana and Rajasthan, where the number of COVID-positive patients is on the rise. The teams are scheduled to visit the districts reporting high numbers of COVID cases and support the state towards strengthening containment, surveillance, testing, infection prevention and control measures and efficient clinical management of the positive cases as well. The central teams shall also guide in effectively managing the challenges related to timely diagnosis and follow-up. Ahmedabad in Gujarat will go under complete curfew from 9 p.m. tonight till Monday morning, with only shops selling milk and medicines remaining open in view of the steep surge in COVID-19 cases. The decision to impose the complete curfew was taken in a review meeting chaired by Chief Minister Vijay Rupani and attended by Deputy Chief Minister Nitin Patel and senior officials of the AMC on Thursday. The situation was reviewed again late evening. Additional Chief Secretary, Forest and Environment Rajiv Kumar Gupta, in a late-night post on Twitter, emphasized that after the total curfew lifts at 6 a.m. on Monday, the city would go under indefinite night curfew Monday night onwards. The Gujarat government also decided to put on hold the reopening of schools and colleges from the 23rd of November. So for now, schools and colleges that were supposed to open on the 23rd of November in Gujarat will not open. The third phase of testing of Covaxin in Haryana began today. Haryana's cabinet minister and senior BJP leader Anil Vij was the first volunteer to get vaccinated for the third phase trials of Bharat Biotech's COVID-19 vaccine. This is the largest clinical trial conducted for the COVID-19 vaccine in India. Covaxin is being developed indigenously by Bharat Biotech in collaboration with ICMR. Last month, the vaccine maker said it had successfully completed interim analysis of Phase 1 and Phase 2 trials and is initiating Phase 3 trials. Bharat Biotech had on Monday said that the Phase 3 trial of Covaxin will involve 26,000 volunteers across 25 centres in India and is being conducted in partnership with ICMR. It is the largest clinical trial conducted for a COVID-19 vaccine in India. India has crossed a landmark milestone on the journey of universal health care. More than 50,000 Ayushman Bharat health and wellness centres are now operational across the country. Aiming at providing comprehensive primary healthcare services to the communities closer to their homes, 1.5 lakh health and wellness centres are to be established by December 2022, with more than 50,000 having been established already. The one-third of the target has been met. This has led to improved access to affordable primary healthcare services for more than 25 crore people. Dr. Harsh Vardhan, Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare, congratulated the states and union territories for their efforts in operationalizing the centres despite the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic. The Health Minister especially thanked the frontline health workers, the medical officers, the community health officers and ASHAs for their dedication to the cause of providing comprehensive primary healthcare services and for supporting millions of people with necessary services in these difficult times. Ayushman Bharat was launched in 2018 with its twin pillars of health and wellness centres and Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, with bidirectional linkages between the two for providing full range of services across the continuum of care. So one-third of the target of health and wellness centres has already been achieved. And in Delhi, which has been witnessing a surge in average COVID-19 cases and deaths, 7,546 new cases were reported on Thursday amid 62,437 tests and 6,685 discharges and 98 deaths. Let's now take a look at the national picture of COVID-19 and the most recent measures that have been rolled out to curb its spread, and a report that shows that some groups of population in Pune could be heading towards herd immunity. So this is the national picture. It's a positive picture because recovered cases exceed new cases in the last few weeks. This chart shows how week after week the recovered cases are more than the daily fresh infection cases. So fresh cases are less than the daily recoveries. This is the graph that you see. The green line that you see is the number of recovered cases in a particular week. 16th October to 22nd October, you can see that the bar of recovered cases is higher than the bar of fresh infections. It's ditto, the same in terms of recoveries being more than fresh infections between the 23rd of October to the 29th of October, and between the 30th of October and the 5th of November, and between the 6th of November and 12th of November, and then from the 13th of November to the 19th of November. So week after week, we are seeing that the number of recoveries on a daily basis, also on a weekly basis, is higher than the number of infections on a daily basis or weekly basis. This is the overall chart of India. Look at the recovery rate. It's gone up to 93.6%, whereas active cases are less than 5% of the overall cases that you see. Active cases are only 4.93% of the overall cases, and the fatality rate is well below the 2% mark at 1.47%. So this is the overall national picture that we are bringing to you at this point in time. Let's move on now and look at how India's COVID count has hit 9 million, but the rise has been slowest since the first million. So these are the number of cases that you see, and these are the number of days in which those benchmarks were reached. For instance, it took 168 days to move from 1 case to 1 million case in the whole of India, and then it took 21 days, far fewer days to move from 1 million to 2 million, and then 16 days to move from 2 million to 3 million, and only 13 days it took to move from 3 million and 4 million. And we'll tell you about the latest figures as well. To move from 4 million to 5 million cases in India, it took 11 days. From 5 million to 6 million, 12 days. From 6 million to 7 million, 13 days. From 7 million to 8 million, 18 days. And from 8 million to 9 million, 22 days. So look at the contrast here. It took just 11 days to move from 4 million to 5 million, and now it's taken double that time. So double the time it's taken during the peak period to move from 8 million to 9 million. This goes on to show that the growth rate of cases in India has substantially come down. Well, the measures that have been taken by Delhi to control COVID-19 are as follows. A fine for not wearing mask in public place has been hiked from 500 rupees to 2,000 rupees. This was also done on the intervention of the Delhi High Court. Delhi district magistrates and chief district medical officers to double testing centers. So focus is on greater testing in Delhi so that more cases can be identified and there can be more contact tracing, more people can be isolated, and the surge of cases can be controlled. Private hospitals to increase non-ICU COVID beds from 50% to 60%. So earlier 50% beds were to be reserved, now 60% beds are to be reserved. 80% ICU beds reserved for COVID patients. So as far as ICU is concerned, 80% beds need to be reserved. Hospitals asked to postpone non-critical planned surgeries because they have to focus on ensuring that COVID-19 patients get the best of care. COVID hospitals allowed to engage MBBS students, interns and BDS doctors in order to assist doctors on duty who are treating COVID-19 patients. So focus on greater manpower to deal with the situation. Door-to-door survey of 58 lakh Delhiites living in and around hotspots in Delhi was supposed to begin. So this is yet another measure that the Delhi government now plans to take. Around 85%. This is of course the situation in Pune. Well, interestingly, Pune is showing the first signs of herd immunity, and according to a study in Pune, around 85% people found infected in an earlier sero survey have developed protective antibodies, which means that out of the sample of people who were tested for antibodies and were found to be infected, 85% possess antibodies in a population group in Pune. Sero survey was done in July and August, and 51% people had been infected with the virus. So of those 51% who were found to be infected earlier on in July and August, 85% have protective antibodies according to a report in Pune. This is important because this is the first documented case in India where infection rate in a population group is so high. There's no such case of such a high infection rate in a population group in India than what we are seeing in Pune. Concept of herd immunity could be playing out in Pune, but this is something on which a conclusion will only be drawn months later, because we also saw what happened in Manaus in Brazil and also in Sweden, where we saw that there was a sharp spike in cases and then there was a sharp dip and then the surge happened. So all those people who presumed that Sweden had reached herd immunity or Manaus city in Brazil had reached herd immunity were proven wrong. Well, let's focus on the situation in Delhi now. Our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya joins us with more inputs on this. Well, Tapas, the Delhi government is rolling out several measures now, but should it have acted earlier, considering that there was a Sero survey report that was put out earlier which had anticipated a surge? So had it acted in time, so many deaths and so many cases could have been avoided.
Bang on there. In fact, that is one of the reasons why Delhi High Court yesterday also, said that wrapped up the Delhi government, saying that they should look at the situation with a magnifying glass. And it is disheartening. They made, and they in fact said that how will you explain to those people who have lost their lives? Remember, they said that for 18 days they didn't take any steps whatsoever, even though the cases were spiraling out of hand. In fact, if we take a close look at yesterday's health bulletin, which came out pretty late in the night, Delhi, in fact, recorded 7,546 new cases, though it is still less than what was the highest that was done at around 11th of November, when Delhi breached the 8,500 mark. Of test new cases, and this has been going on for almost more than 15 to 17 days, and there is nobody who actually in the government stood up and saying that this is what we need to do. Only after the weekend meeting with the Union Home Minister along with other stakeholders that the people actually started talking about taking some high decision. In fact, 2 days back, 131 fatalities. That was the highest fatality that took place. So from a fatality of 10 to 12, end of the last month or close to last month, to almost 100 every day is a huge spike, and that is actually a worry factor. In fact, if I may use, there is a major shortage of ICU beds with ventilators. In fact, Delhi government's own Corona dashboard says that as of now they have 1,374 in total ICU beds with ventilators, and out of 1,374, 1,251 are occupied. So only, and I again stress the fact, only 123 beds are vacant for ICU beds with ventilators. So the situation is alarming to a large extent, and one has to say that the Delhi government actually shot themselves in the foot by not actually taking a hard look at some of the decisions that they have taken, especially when it comes to the period of be it Durga Puja or for that matter the whole Diwali weekend that actually went wrong.
Absolutely, Tapas. And is it also important for Delhi government to take a relook at the kind of tests that are being deployed at this point in time? Because looking at the figures, it shows that 70% of the tests that have been conducted in Delhi are a RAT or rapid antigen tests, and only 30% have been RT-PCR. We know that RT-PCR tests are more accurate than the RAT tests, but a lot of RAT tests being done, even though the ICMR protocol says that if someone tests negative in a RAT or rapid antigen test, then they have to do a retest of RT-PCR to confirm whether they are infected or not.
Absolutely, and that is what has been going on for almost a month. In fact, we have seen that the Delhi government has been increasing the number of tests to almost 40,000 to 45,000. They have reached that limit in that sense. So, if you talk about purely in terms of the statistics, yes, they have reached the 40-45K mark. But if you take a close look, if you take a hard look at the statistics, you will find that at no particular time the RT-PCR test among all those 40-45 tests was more than 12,000 to 13,000, and that is a heartening. In fact, even yesterday, if I may use some statistics, 62,437 tests took place yesterday, which is quite high, I want to agree. But out of that, only 22,067 were RT-PCR tests. So bulk of it, more than 40,000 tests are still RAT tests. And one has to look beyond the, one understand that RT-PCR tests are expensive, one understand that it takes time, but one has to look at beyond the RT-PCR, that there are many other tests that are coming out. In fact, we've been told that now the Feluda test, which remember we have been talking about the Feluda test for a long time. So yes. Feluda test, the paper strip test is going to hit Delhi today, in fact. and the league government and the other stakeholders can actually take a hard look at this sort of a test, because this gives us this paper strip test gives us the result in 45 to almost an hour, and the price is almost close to 500, which is almost 1/5 of the cost of an RT-PCR test one has to do. So all these measures, all these tests or options that needs to be taken into consideration while fighting this with this menace of COVID-19. Remember, we cannot have one single sort of a mindset for this. We need to have a multi-pronged situational awareness to understand and fight this menace. Munmun.
Thanks, Tapas, for those updates. The Ministry of Labour and Employment has prepared draft rules under the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. The Ministry has invited objections and suggestions from the stakeholders. Such objections and suggestions are required to be submitted within a period of 45 days from the date of notification of the draft rules. The draft rules are aimed at enhancing safety, health and working conditions in establishments, simplifying the procedures and protocols, allowing electronic mode of maintaining registers, records and furnishing returns, thus ensuring safe, healthy and decent working conditions. The draft rules provide for operationalization of provisions relating to safety, health and working conditions of the dock workers, building or other construction workers, mines workers, interstate migrant worker, contract labour, working journalist, audiovisual workers and sales promotion employees. Let's now shift focus to national prime. In Uttar Pradesh, at least 14 persons, including 6 children, died in a tragic road accident in Manikpur area of Pratapgarh after their car rammed into a truck on the highway late on Thursday. The accident happened late last night when the car they were travelling in collided with a truck on the Prayagraj-Lucknow highway under limits of Manikpur police station. All victims were returning home to their village after attending a wedding ceremony. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has announced compensation of 2 lakh rupees each to the next of kin of the deceased who lost their lives in the Pratapgarh road accident. Tributes were paid to former Goa governor and veteran BJP leader Mridula Sinha, who breathed her last on Wednesday. Her body was kept for Antim Darshan today, where wreaths were laid on behalf of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Union Home Minister Amit Shah. BJP President JP Nadda also laid a wreath. A renowned Hindi writer, Sinha was also the former president of BJP's Mahila Morcha and also the former chairperson of Central Social Welfare Board in the Ministry of Human Resource Development. She had administered the oath-taking ceremonies of late Manohar Parrikar, Lakshmikant Parsekar and Pramod Sawant as Chief Ministers of Goa. JP Nadda and Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant remembered Mridula Sinha for her efforts towards public service.
मृदुला जी सिन्हा हमारे गोवा के राज्यपाल रह चुके हैं। 6 साल वो गोवा में राज्यपाल बन गई थी। उनसे मेरा खुद वैयक्तिक रिलेशन बहुत ही अच्छा माँ जैसे रिलेशन था। यानी गोवा में उन्होंने सभी लोगों को उस राजभवन से जो वंचित लोग थे, जो अपंग थे, इन सभी लोगों को राजभवन पे बुलाने का, राजभवन पे आने का किसने योग दिया तो मृदुला जी ने दिया। और मुझे लगता है उनका योग गोवा में बहुत ही योगदान रहा। जैसे कि साहित्य, सामाजिक समरसता रखने के लिए वो सभी लोगों के साथ मिलजुल के रही। गोवा के साहित्य, गोवा के कल्चर के बारे में भी उन्होंने लिखा। मुझे वैयक्तिक गोवा के लोगों की तरफ से मैं दुख व्यक्त करता हूँ। उनके फैमिली के साथ मैं सदा रहूँगा। यानी उनके आत्मा को शांति लगे।
आदरणीय मृदुला जी हम सबको आज छोड़ करके चली गई हैं। ये हम सब के लिए बहुत ही दुख का विषय है और व्यक्तिगत रूप में उनके साथ जो मेरे संबंध थे, जिस तरीके का एक माँ प्यार देती हैं, इस तरीके का प्यार उनसे हमको मिला। उन्होंने पार्टी के लिए उस वक्त काम किया जब पार्टी बढ़ रही थी। आज वो हमारे बीच में नहीं है, लेकिन उनसे प्रेरणा हम सदा सदा लेते रहेंगे और उनकी प्रेरणा और बताए रास्ते पर चलना ये हमारी जिम्मेवारी होगी।
The Ministry of Rural Development today celebrated Awas Divas on the occasion of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen Foundation Day. State representatives and other officials participated in the event through video conferencing. Rural Development Minister Narendra Singh Tomar interacted with representatives. He praised the contribution of states in building houses for poor.
भारत सरकार का यह भारत कार्यक्रम है, राज्यों के साथ मिलकर इसको मूर्त रूप देने का एक सफलतम प्रयत्न विगत दिनों किया गया है और मुझे इस बात की प्रसन्नता है कि सभी राज्यों ने योगदान देकर इस योजना के अंतर्गत 1 करोड़ 20 लाख आवास निर्माण करके और गरीब लोगों को छत प्रदान करने का काम किया है। प्रधानमंत्री जी की कार्यपद्धति के अनुसार उन्होंने न सिर्फ योजना प्रारंभ की, योजना का लक्ष्य भी तय किया कि 2022 तक ग्रामीण क्षेत्र हो या शहरी क्षेत्र हो, जिस भारतीय के पास छत नहीं है अपने स्वामित्व की, तो उसको प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना के माध्यम से अपना घर देने का काम किया जाए।
You heard the minister saying that with the scheme, it will be ensured that a house is given to every Indian by 2022. Well, let's move on now as winter sets in. Mercury levels seem to be dipping lower by the day. Delhi recorded a minimum temperature of 7.5 degrees Celsius today. That is the lowest in this winter season. According to Kuldeep Srivastav of the Met Department, the dip in temperature will further continue for the next 2 days.
जो अभी हमारे पास आज टेम्परेचर सब्जेक्टिविटी का रिकॉर्ड किया गया वो 7.5 है, तो इससे कम टेम्परेचर अगर बीते सालों में देखेंगे तो 2006 में 7.3 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड आया था। उसके बाद से ये लोएस्ट टेम्परेचर नवंबर के महीने में रियलाइज़ किया गया। साथ ही साथ तापमान में गिरावट आई है और ये गिरावट अभी हमारे पास 2 दिन और बनी रहेगी।
Chhath Puja festival is being celebrated with religious fervour and gaiety across Bihar, Jharkhand and eastern part of Uttar Pradesh and Assam. Devotees who started 36 hours fasting will pay offerings to the setting sun this evening. Chhath will conclude after paying oblations to the rising sun tomorrow morning. During celebrations, people thank the sun, the god of energy and life force, for sustaining the life of earth. Chhath is celebrated on the 6th day of the month of Kartik in Vikram Samvat. It is said that those who perform Chhath with full devotion, their desires are fulfilled. President Ramnath Kovind has extended his greetings on the occasion of Chhath Puja to fellow citizens living in India and abroad. The President in his message wished that Chhath Maiya may bless all the citizens with good health and prosperity. On the last day of the Malabar naval exercise of the 4 navies of India, US, Japan and Australia in the Arabian Sea, takeoff and landing drills were carried out on the aircraft carrier Vikramaditya. The Indian MiG-29Ks and American F-18 from the deck of Vikramaditya, along with the Indian P-8I and US Navy's Hawkeye, carried out firings on surface and subsurface targets. These drills in the northern Arabian Sea are phase 2 of the Malabar exercise, which aims at an open, free and rule-based Indo-Pacific. The US Nimitz Carrier Strike Group and Indian Vikramaditya Carrier Battle Group was a significant force projection against Chinese muscle flexing in the Indo-Pacific. Another contingent of the Indian Army is ready to leave for the UN peacekeeping mission in South Sudan. Over the last 70 years, India has contributed more than 2 lakh personnel for UN peacekeeping missions. These blue helmets from the Army have been trained at the Kanpur camp in Delhi. And now a look at all the updates from the world of business. My colleague Ajay Mishra joins us with Business Prime.
Thanks Unru and welcome all to Business Prime. No middleman and corruption, no loss of revenue in transmission. The benefits are going straight into the bank accounts of the poor. That's the game changer direct benefit transfer scheme of the government. The program, which aims to transfer subsidies directly to the people through their bank accounts, has ensured transfer of record 13 lakh crore to the beneficiaries. According to the government, since last April, the amount of about 1.25 lakh crore rupees has been sent through DBT. That is not all. Since January till now, over 4 lakh crore rupees have been sent using DBT. Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Yojana or Jan Dhan Yojana both have used DBT scheme for providing relief to poor even amidst COVID pandemic. The domestic indices staged a smart recovery in a choppy session and were trading in a positive territory in the afternoon session on Friday. The benchmark S&P BSE Sensex that hit a low of 43,454 on the back of sell-off in IndusInd Bank, Axis Bank, SBI and Reliance Industries recovered and was quoting at 43,600 levels. On NSE, the Nifty 50 was hovering around 12,800 mark. In the broader markets, S&P BSE Mid Cap Index was up 0.82% to trade at 16,370, while S&P BSE Small Cap Index was up at 16,150, which is up 0.57%. Securities and Exchange Board of India (SEBI) has petitioned in the Supreme Court to direct the tycoon Subrata Roy to pay 62,600 crore, which is 8.43 billion, immediately or cancel his parole if he doesn't yield. The market regulator said that the outstanding liability of the Sahara India Parivar Group's two companies and the group's chief Roy stands at 62,600 crore, including interests. Roy's liability have ballooned from 25,700 crore. He was ordered to pay 8 years ago. Roy was arrested in March 2014 for failing to attend a contempt of court hearing and has been on bail since 2016. He has denied any wrongdoing. SEBI had said that the Sahara's non-compliance over 8 years has caused the regulator great inconvenience and that those guilty of contempt should be taken into custody if they failed to deposit the amount. Well, that's all in the Business Prime. Back to you, Munmu.
Well, thank you, Ajay, for those updates. And there is big news coming in at this point in time. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has held a review meeting with the Home Minister, National Security Advisor, Foreign Secretary and top intelligence establishment over the Nagrota encounter. It was found that the terrorists were planning a big attack on the anniversary of the 26/11 terror attack, as per government sources. And Sudhakar joins us with more on this. Sudhakar, it was a big shot in the arm for the security forces yesterday when they gunned down all 4 terrorists in the Nagrota encounter. They were said to be on a big mission, and now Prime Minister Narendra Modi holding a review meeting. Give us more details.
जी बिल्कुल, देखिए, और खास तौर से मनमोहन, हमको पता है कि जिस तरह से वहाँ भारी मात्रा में हथियार बरामद हुए थे और 4 आतंकवादियों के पास इतने सारे हथियार बरामद होना और जिस तरीके से वो जा रहे थे कश्मीर के लिए, कोई बड़ा मंसूबा प्लान करके जा रहे थे। हालांकि उसकी जांच की जा रही है, तमाम सुरक्षा एजेंसियां उसकी जांच में लगी हुई है, लेकिन उससे ये अंदाजा लगाया जा रहा है कि 26/11 हमको पता है कि अगले हफ्ते उसकी एक तरह से वर्षगांठ है और इस फिराक में पाकिस्तान हमेशा रहता है कि उसकी वर्षगांठ पर जो आतंकी संगठन है वो कुछ ना कुछ बड़ा प्लान करने की फिक्र में रहते हैं और उन मंसूबों को नाकाम तो जरूर किया गया है, लेकिन उनकी पहचान भी जरूरी है और पूरे स्थिति की जानकारी पीएम को दी गई इस पूरे घटनाक्रम की इस बड़ी बैठक में, जिसमें गृह मंत्री, राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा सलाहकार, विदेश सचिव और जो खुफिया ब्यूरो के जो बड़े अधिकारी इस बैठक में मौजूद थे। और निश्चित तौर पर आने वाले समय में देखिए एक तरह की बौखलाहट जरूर है। अनुच्छेद 370 हटने के बाद से जम्मू कश्मीर में धीरे धीरे एक तरह से जो पूरी सामान्य स्थिति लौट रही है और हम लगातार ये भी देख रहे हैं कि ऐसे नौजवान जो गुमराह होकर आतंक संगठनों की तरफ गए थे वो भी लौट कर आ रहे हैं, मुख्य धारा में शामिल हो रहे हैं, आत्मसमर्पण कर रहे हैं। तो वो बौखलाहट लगातार बढ़ती जा रही है और उसकी वजह से हमने देखा न सिर्फ सीमा पर लगातार सीजफायर वायलेशंस की घटनाएं बढ़ी, बल्कि इस तरह से जो फिदाइन हमलों की कोशिश, हम जानते हैं कि कई फिदाइन हमलों को बीते वर्षों में अंजाम भी दिया आतंकी संगठनों ने और एक बहुत बड़ा जो मंसूबा था 26 से 11 के एनिवर्सरी पर कश्मीर में तबाही मचाने का, उन मंसूबों को जरूर नाकामयाब किया गया। लेकिन एक सुरक्षा तंत्र को जरूर और भी मजबूत करने की और उसके लिए क्या कुछ करने की जरूरत है, उन तमाम उपायों पर चर्चा हुई होगी। अभी डिटेल में इसके बारे में जानकारी नहीं मिल पाई है। क्या कुछ सरकार आगे कुछ करने का इसको लेकर प्लानिंग रखती है या सिर्फ एक तरह से ये रिव्यू मीटिंग थी। क्या कुछ फैसले लिए गए, सुरक्षा से जुड़े हुए ये मसले हैं तो उसकी जानकारी बाहर आने की उम्मीद भी कम है। लेकिन जरूर निश्चित तौर पर इस पूरे मामले की गंभीरता को इसी बात से समझा जा सकता है कि खुद प्रधानमंत्री ने इस पूरे मसले को लेकर रिव्यू किया है और हमारे सूत्र बता रहे हैं कि पूरी बात की जानकारी उनको भी दी गई है और पूरी स्थिति के बारे में क्या कुछ बीते दिनों में, बीते महीनों में सीमा पर, नियंत्रण रेखा पर कदम उठाए गए सुरक्षा को मजबूत करने के लिए और उस सुरक्षा के मजबूती की वजह से ये जो कोऑर्डिनेशन बीएसएफ, इंडियन आर्मी और जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस की वजह से, जिसकी वजह से इस तरह के मंसूबों को नाकाम किया जा रहा है, तो वो किस तरह से काम कर रही है, तो उन तमाम चीजों पे चर्चा जरूर होगी। लेकिन एक तरह से बहुत गंभीरता से सरकार ने इस पूरे घटनाक्रम को लिया है। एक बड़ी कामयाबी सुरक्षा एजेंसियों की जरूर है, लेकिन एक तरह से इस तरह की और आने वाले समय में घटनाओं को कैसे रोका जा सके, तो इस तरह का कोऑर्डिनेशन बना रहे, उसकी भी बात हुई होगी मुमकिन तौर पर।
Sudhakar, we are aware that 5 to 6 days from now there will be the anniversary of 26/11. Other than that, from the 28th of November, District Development Council elections will be taking place in Jammu and Kashmir in 8 phases. And there was security heightened ahead of the DDC polls. Could there be further tightening of security in Jammu and Kashmir in light of the upcoming elections and, like you said, the anniversary of 26/11, which is round the corner?
देखिए, सूत्रों का ये जरूर कहना है कि जो तमाम चीजों का जरूर ध्यान रखा जा रहा है इस घटनाक्रम के मद्देनजर और चुनावों के मद्देनजर पहले से सुरक्षा को लेकर कड़ी व्यवस्था की गई थी। हमने देखा कि बीते कुछ दिनों में इस बौखलाहट की वजह से कई जो जन प्रतिनिधियों को या राजनीतिक लोगों को भी निशाना बनाने की कोशिश की गई। हालांकि हमारे सुरक्षा संगठनों ने उसका बदला भी लिया, उन आतंकियों को खोज निकाला भी गया, उनको न्यूट्रलाइज भी किया गया। लेकिन निश्चित तौर पर इस चुनाव के लिए और जो पूरी स्थिति है जन सामान्य को एक सुरक्षित माहौल देने के लिए तमाम कदम पहले से उठाए जा चुके हैं। लेकिन इस घटनाक्रम के मद्देनजर एक तरह से सिक्योरिटी अरेंजमेंट, हमारे सूत्रों का कहना है कि ये ऑनगोइंग प्रोसेस है। जो भी कदम उठाने की जरूरत है या जरूरत होगी वो लगातार उठाए जाते रहेंगे और निश्चित तौर पर, लेकिन ये एक बड़ा घटनाक्रम हुआ है और एक बड़ी तबाही का जरूर मंसूबा था। जो पूरा घटनाक्रम हुआ उससे जरूर अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता, लेकिन जो अलर्ट ट्रूप्स की वजह से चाहे बॉर्डर पर हो या और बहुत सारी जानकारियां इसमें सामने भी आई हैं, क्योंकि एक फर्जी नंबर प्लेट का सहारा लिया गया ट्रक की जो मूवमेंट्स कई और दिशाओं में भी देखी गई है। तो ऐसे में उन तमाम चीजों की जांच की जा रही है, ट्रक के मालिक तक पहुंचा जा रहा है, एनआईए है उनको भी रोप इन किया जा रहा है इस पूरे जांच की प्रक्रिया में। तो एक पूरे कोऑर्डिनेशन के साथ कैसे काम हो और साथ ही साथ एक जो हाइटेंड सिक्योरिटी है भारत की और जम्मू कश्मीर में खास तौर से हमने देखा कि अगस्त 2019 के बाद से आतंकी घटनाओं में कम से कम 40% की कमी आई है। तो वो मुमकिन सुरक्षा बलों की मुस्तैदी की वजह से हुआ है। हम देख रहे हैं कि जो पत्थरबाजी की घटना है वो एक तरह से बीते दिनों की बात हो गई है, क्योंकि ये एक तरह से स्पॉन्सर्ड टेररिज्म था जिसको आईएसआई, पाकिस्तानी आर्मी, जैश-ए मोहम्मद, लश्कर तैयबा जैसे आतंकी संगठनों के जरिए भारत के ऊपर थोप रहा था। और सुरक्षा स्थिति मजबूत होने की वजह से आम लोगों का इससे मोहभंग होने की वजह से एक तरह से जो गुमराह करने की प्रक्रिया है उस कनेक्शन को काटने की वजह से, और ये जो पैसा नशीले पदार्थों की तस्करी के जरिए या अन्य तरह के हवाला के जरिए जो जम्मू कश्मीर में आता था उसके सप्लाई बंद होने की वजह से सुरक्षा स्थितियां काफी हद तक बदली है। एक अपर हैंड सुरक्षा फोर्सेस का लगातार बढ़ता जा रहा है। कई जो जिले हैं वो अब आतंक का नामो निशान एक तरह से मिटा दिया गया है। उस लिहाज से कहे तो निश्चित तौर पर इस ऑनगोइंग प्रक्रिया की भी प्रधानमंत्री ने समीक्षा की होगी। लेकिन बहुत महत्वपूर्ण जो जानकारियां आ रही हैं कि 26/11 को लेकर एक बड़ा प्लान करने की जो कोशिश थी, तो वो एक जो हैरानी की बात है। और एक तरफ पाकिस्तान के भीतर दिखावे के लिए एक न्यायिक प्रक्रिया चलाई जाती है 26/11 मामले को लेकर, और हम जानते हैं बीते 10-11 वर्षों में इसको लेकर कुछ भी नहीं हुआ है, एक दिखावे की प्रक्रिया जरूर चलती रही है। और दूसरी तरफ 26/11 की एनिवर्सरी पर इस तरह के हमले की प्लानिंग की जाती है, तो निश्चित तौर पर यह दोहरा रवैया भी दुनिया के सामने जाना चाहिए, दुनिया को भी पता चलना चाहिए। हमने देखा इस बैठक में खुद विदेश सचिव भी मौजूद थे, तो उस लिहाज से भी हो सकता है कुछ बातचीत हुई होगी इस बैठक में, हम उम्मीद करते हैं।
Sudhakar, 26/11 was carried out by terrorists in Pakistan. The masterminds were in Pakistan. Hafiz Saeed, who's now been sentenced to 10.5 years, was the mastermind of 26/11. Is the government further looking into the possibility of Pakistani links behind the Nagrota encounter, considering that there were reports that these 4 terrorists could be of Jaish-e-Mohammed?
जी बिल्कुल, देखिए अभी जो प्रारंभिक सूचनाएं उसी लिहाज से आई हैं, बताया ये जा रहा है कि जैश-ए-मोहम्मद के ये आतंकी हो सकते हैं। और जहां तक 26/11 का जो सवाल है, हमने देखा कि ये पूरे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय जगत ने भी देखा कि किस तरह से वो पूरी प्रक्रिया, पाकिस्तान भी अब मान रहा है कि वो जो बोट है वो कराची से आया था, उसमें जो तमाम आतंकी जो पाकिस्तान के थे, तो अब देर से सही उन तमाम लोगों ने इन चीजों को माना है। और अभी लेकिन आतंक के ऊपर जो ठोस कार्रवाई की बात है वो पाकिस्तान की तरफ से नहीं हो सकता, क्योंकि एक तरह से वहाँ की सुरक्षा एजेंसियां, वहाँ की खुफिया एजेंसियां, जो अंग्रेजी में कहावत है हैंड इन ग्लोव, तो वो एक तरह से वो एक दूसरे के ऊपर एक दूसरे का हाथ थामे हुए हैं, एक दूसरे के ऊपर कार्रवाई की बात बहुत दूर है। तो वो जो कुछ भी है दिखावे की कार्रवाई है, और शायद इसी वजह से FATF में शामिल देश हो या संयुक्त राष्ट्र सुरक्षा परिषद हो या अमेरिका, यूरोप के तमाम जो बड़े देश हैं, उनको पता है कि पाकिस्तान दुनिया में अगर आतंकवाद का एपिसेंटर एक तरह से हो गया है, कहीं भी कोई दुनिया में बड़ी आतंकी घटना घटती है तो उसका कोई ना कोई कनेक्शन पाकिस्तान से निकल आता है। पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री उसामा बिन लादेन को एक तरह से शहीद का दर्जा देते हैं। पुलवामा की घटना के लिए पाकिस्तान के आतंकी घटना के लिए
Sudhakar, stay with us. We are now joined by Sanjay Kulkarni, defence expert. Lieutenant General Kulkarni, welcome to Midday Prime. Your thoughts on the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a day after the Nagrota encounter, in which in a joint operation 4 terrorists which could be affiliated to the Jaish-e-Mohammed were gunned down, and how important do you think that encounter has been in terms of, as a success for the security forces, and what are the challenges that you see going forward, considering the 26/11 anniversary is round the corner and DDC polls will also be taking place from the 28th?
Monmohan, I think it is absolutely necessary for us to be prepared to take on these challenges, because Pakistan, on instructions of, what we can safely say, Pakistan on instructions of China, number one. Number two, Pakistan is desperate that it should push as many militants as it can before the winter sets in and the passes are covered with snow. And Pakistan now is desperate to prove itself as one of the leaders in the Muslim world. Looking at it from that point of view, and also, I would also say, not just China, not just Pakistan bring it all on itself, also within the valley also, I think there are some noises that are coming up which are contrary to the national security, and that is very important. If you all stand united, there is no question of anybody infiltrating. But yes, now the infiltration has taken place. The very fact that this, I would say, the counter-insurgency grid in northern Kashmir has been tightened. We now really need to put that in its place also along the Jammu border, so that no infiltration takes place from either Punjab or Jammu, because you saw these 4 militants that were passing through Nagrota. Fortunately, we had the input that we could encounter. The encounter took place. All 4 of them died. But look what they were carrying. They were carrying 11 AK-47. They were carrying pistols, grenades, RDX, all those kind of things. So we have to be very, very careful. And the Prime Minister has taken a meeting at the right time to be able to convey that we will not. There is zero tolerance for all these kinds of activities taking place in India, and that we will now come heavily on the militants, and also probably even come heavily on Pakistan should it continue with ceasefire violations.
Lieutenant General Kulkarni, will you also credit the tight border security grid that we now have in J&K for the interception of these terrorists and their elimination, considering that along the international border and the LOC, there is greater surveillance by the Army and the BSF, and in the border districts, the J&K police is on high alert levels?
Say again, Murmur.
Lieutenant General Kulkarni, I was asking you that would you also credit the interception of the terrorists that happened yesterday and their neutralization to the fact that there is a very strong border security grid? There is a decline in infiltration of around 38% until October compared to corresponding period last year, and we are looking at how the Army and the BSF troops are into more surveillance along the IB and the LOC, and besides that, the J&K police is on high alert in border districts.
100%. There is no denying the fact that this particular operation is primarily because of the very, very fantastic counterinsurgency grid that has taken place, the synergy that is there between the security forces, between the paramilitary forces, and also the J&K police. If not for that, it would have been impossible. The very fact that we knew such an infiltration had taken place at Hiranagar and Samba, and that we were able to track. And after that also we saw, I think the J&K police even showed its human face by telling these people that should you wish to surrender, you're welcome to surrender. But then when they did not surrender and fired the first shot, obviously when the retaliation had to take place, then we neutralized all the four of them and all these groups. So this counter-insurgency grid is what has led to this. And the inputs that are coming also show there are a lot of people within the country who are willing to share their inputs because they're fed up of this insurgency in Kashmir Valley.
General Kulkarni, how significant is the fact that the highest levels of the government at the centre have taken stock of what had happened yesterday? This could point to the possibility that those four terrorists were on a mission to strike big, and their mission was foiled.
Yes, there is no doubt that these four militants were on a mission. There is no denying the fact that they were carrying so many weapons along with them. That itself is indicative of the kind of intention. And they were going at a time when there are going to be elections, and especially the Panchayati elections, which probably Pakistan does not seem to, feel good that democracy is setting roots into India, and especially into Valley. In India, there is not a problem. But in the Valley is what is irking them. They find themselves in a very, very difficult situation. And that is the reason why you find that infiltration has taken place even along Samba, which it had taken place earlier also. But the very fact that we've got to know of it through the solid counterinsurgency grid is the best thing.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, for your perspective on the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has held a review meeting a day after all four terrorists were eliminated in a joint operation by the security forces on the Jammu-Srinagar highway in Jammu and Kashmir. Well, that's it then in this edition of Midday Prime. But do remember to wear your mask whenever you step out of your homes and be part of Doordarshan's Mask Up India campaign. Stay fit, stay safe. Namaskar.